Hi, and welcome back to another Clintonville area real estate market update. I'm Ryan Deeter with Key Realty. In this video, we're going to do a deep dive into the June 2023 numbers that the Columbus, Ohio board puts out for us. We are halfway through the year and have half a year's data. We're going to look at this data and show you some patterns that happen every year about this time of year. And if you're looking to list your house or sell your house this late summer or fall, some pitfalls for you to avoid and help you get top dollar still. And if you're looking to buy your house, maybe some reasons why I think this time of year could be the best time to buy a house. But let's dive into it and look at the data. All right, we got the June 23 numbers here pulled up for us. And as you can see, one thing that I actually kind of find refreshing actually is that we actually had a lot of sales this last month. We had 65 compared to 59 last month, which is a 10% increase. If you look at compare that to overall, that's the Columbus market. This is the Columbus market one. It's actually down 13%. And as a whole, really across the nation, home sales are down. But Clintonville had a pretty good month for June. And overall, we're still down 17%, almost 20% still. So for the area, but for whatever reason, people decided it's time to sell their house. So maybe this is a new pattern we're seeing. We may see more listings come up. This may just be a fluke for a month. We'll see. But in contracts, we're exactly the same as last year. So that's a good sign that we're still getting more homes in contract, because that tends to show what what the closed sales are going to be next month. My guess will be a little bit less than 77, because sometimes things fall out and don't close. But good news is that there's more houses available than there has been in the last few months. So that's good. The average price is up 8.5%. Median price is up 9%. Average price per square foot is actually down, which is a little curious to me. How I always like to look at these three numbers together and always see, okay, which one's the outlier? Is there an outlier? And kind of see where things are going as a whole. So that means that there's bigger homes selling. That's kind of what that means to me, is that the higher end homes are selling more on average, because higher end tend to have a little bit lower average price per square foot because they have more square foot. They still sell for more, but the smaller homes in good locations tend to have a higher percentage or higher average price per square foot. And same time with like ranch style homes, especially in the Clintonville area, tend to have a higher price per square foot. So maybe we just didn't see very many ranches, which we don't see a ton of those right now on the market compared to the last few months. But that's a curious little number. I still think that things are still going up and to the right here in Clintonville. I don't think you're going to get a huge discount because of this number in the Clintonville area. And then year to date, we're seeing a little bit more modest numbers. Actually, that 3 to 4% as a whole, which is right in line with the national, or sorry, the Columbus area as a whole as well. So if you go back to Columbus area, as a whole, we're seeing those same numbers kind of come up. But this, the curious thing is that Clintonville had a little bit higher average and median percentage, almost double what the area was. And so obviously we have a higher average price per square foot here in Clintonville than compared to the rest of the Columbus area, just over that 400,000 mark. And this is what I want to kind of dwell on for the majority of this video, is kind of this average and median prices here. And as we can see, as in the intro, I talked about, the patterns we see this time of year. June is always the peak of the market. For the most part, this is Clintonville. We always see some spikes when you get to more, localized areas, because a lot of it just depends on the style of houses that are on the market, the size of the houses that are on the market. So you get a little bit more of extremes, because you can have a really nice house that, goes on the market compared to when you have a higher pool, because you're thinking about 65 homes here that we're looking at compared to 2,800 in the average or in the Columbus region. And so we're just taking a little snapshot of the area in Clintonville. So there's a little bit more volatility in that area, depending on what kind of house goes in the market and what house and what locations and stuff like that too. So anyways, with that, long story short, as a whole, what we tend to see is this time of year tends to be the peak of the average prices and the median prices in June. Let's look at last month's. I think I have last month's pulled up here. Last month is 407 was the average price. This month we're looking at 414. So we still had $7,000 more than last month. But if we go to look at June of 2022, we saw the average price was 382. And let's just go in July. I don't know if I have July even pulled up here. No, I don't. Let's go into July of 2022. Let me pull that up real quick, so bear with me. 2022, let's go to July. We're going to go Clintonville Beach Wall here. We can see here 379 in July. It was June. I kind of do this off the cuffs. 382. So it's a little bit less than what it was in June, of course. And so just a little bit tapering off. And as we see here, we see that tapering off start to happen. This is the chart since 2013. We see that tapering off this time of year, where we see a flatliner tapering off into July, which we are now currently sitting in July, where houses start to, as a whole, prices tend to come down just a little bit throughout the year. What I typically tell people is, like, we'll reach twice as much appreciation in the spring, and then it'll taper off about halfway. So we get, say this is say on average this was $60,000 last year, average appreciation gain. We'll end the year with about $30,000 appreciation gain. That's what happened last year, actually. So I kind of expect that every year we have the majority, even almost twice as much appreciation gain from January to June, and then it kind of levels back out, comes back down, tapers off, and then kind of gets to that average throughout the year. And so the one thing that you got to think about, and this is true in Clintonville, it's true everywhere in Columbus as a whole, and really any market this is true, where a lot of people don't understand this pattern. They think that the spring market's going to continue forever and always. And we see houses that they look at their neighbor's house that sold in May, and they say, well, my house is better than that house. I'm going to list my house higher than what they sold it for. And there's two things they miss on when they do that. They miss what the seller listed the house for versus what it sold for. And they also missed that the market is shifting. The market can't go up and to the right, and so they miss the timing. But the thing that you got to be cautious with as a seller is you got to focus on what they listed their house for and what they sold for. Do they list it for well under what it actually sold for? Because that's what buyers are starting to be conditioned to do in the spring, is to get in a multiple offer situation where they're willing to pay over asking, and often they do. In fact, I think it was over 100%, at least got the list price. So percentage of lists received, this is just in July of 2022. So let's go back to where we are in June. Yeah, we're still seeing percentage of list price higher than 100%. So they're still willing to go, well over list price. I've seen things go over, $100,000 over list price on certain homes. So buyers aren't afraid to go over list price. But the problem is, once they see the price, they assume they have to. And so when you list your house more than what someone sold in May, now May was the top of the market, peak of the market. And then also they probably got higher than what they listed it for. And so buyers, were willing to rush in there and make over listing prices. So when they see your house that is listed for more than what's sold down the street, they think they have to pay. In their head, they're conditioned that it's going to go for $20,000, $30,000 over list. And therefore, that's their actual price in their head, what they're going to pay for your house. So you got to be careful as a seller not to just throw a price out what you think the house is worth. You got to understand what buyers are going to do, and put yourself in buyer's shoes and get in their mindset when you think about listing your house and getting that, what I call the market price, not the value. The list price is not a value price. It's not a value of the house. It's a marketing tool, and it's the market price to get the most eyes and the most offers on your house. With that said, kind of shifting sides here to the buyers. If you're looking to buy a house, often you can find sellers that have made this mistake. They made the mistake of listing it way too high, thinking that number is going to go up and to the right. And then the buyers have, just not shown up. And so this house all of a sudden is on the market for a couple of weeks, and you can come in and make a low offer and get in a negotiation. And if you're not willing to play the game of over asking and as is, you'll make an offer as is with no, maybe no inspection report, and also have to give up what's called an appraisal waiver, where you're saying you're going to pay the difference between the list or the offer price and the appraisal price as a buyer. If you don't like to play that game, you like to do those things, because the majority of houses are going to have those. The sellers that make this mistake, you can capitalize on and potentially get in a negotiation and get that, that house for well less than what it's listed at, and have better terms for, more leverage for the buyer, essentially. Because in this market, when you list your house right and you have multiple offers, what that does is it allows the sellers to have most of the leverage throughout the contract. And that's the power of multiple offers. But if you list it too high and you don't get any offers for the first few weeks, you're most likely going to end up with one low offer that you negotiate and get in contract with, but you don't have those you don't have as much leverage if something comes up during the inspection or something comes up during the appraisal. You don't have the leverage of saying, well, we had 5 other offers, I'm just going to go talk to them to make sure that I get what I want during this period. So be careful as a seller, and as a buyer, take advantage of this. So those are things to think about as, when we think about going into the summer market, into the fall market as well. And the other thing I always want to focus on is where, inventory. Are we coming up in inventory? In Clintonville, we're at 0.8%, which means that this is what's going to drive competition. This is the supply and demand number, where, how much demand is there compared to how much supply, how fast are things selling up. And so 0.8 is very low. As compared to the Columbus region as a whole, we're looking at 1.2 in the Columbus region as a whole. That actually went up, and because of the numbers, the number of sales were high this month, that actually stayed the same, and it's going to continue to stay, probably the same for the next few months. Again, I like to see that, I would like to see that closer to the 2%. So that's almost, twice as many homes on the market here in Clintonville. That still gives us, gives buyers options. They have to give everything up when they make an offer, but it also still is competitive enough where sellers can easily sell their house if they price it right and things like that. So anyways, and it keeps prices up and it keeps appreciation up as well at that mark. But hopefully this is helpful. Those are things that I'm looking at, where the market's going. Again, I think this 417 is going to be this 414 to 417 is going to be the peak of the market this year, start to wane a little bit and then come back up next spring. And so let's keep an eye on that. If you have any questions or want to talk more about anything, you see something that I'm missing, please point it out to me. And don't forget to subscribe to this video if you want to make sure you get an alert when I make another video. Hopefully my goal is to make these monthly, so you get them every month and you can stay informed and hopefully make a wise decision when it comes to your real estate needs. Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe so you get this monthly update once it comes out. And if you have a question or concern about the Clintonville market, please feel free to reach out. Love to have those conversations with you. I live, work, and play in Clintonville myself, and be happy to have those conversations. In fact, I enjoy just having these conversations with individuals. So if you just want to grab a drink and have a conversation about the market, feel free to reach out. Thanks. Bye.